April 17, 1943. Abbeville Airfield, northern France. Late evening. The officers' mess at Jagdschwader 26 is loud with beer and bravado. Yellow-nosed BF 109 sit silent outside, their canopies still warm from the day's combat. At the long wooden table, Hauptmann Joseph Pips Priller slams his stein down hard enough to slosh foam across the map someone left open. Look at this. He laughs, jabbing a finger at a grainy reconnaissance photo passed around like contraband. The Amis have finally sent us something new, 7 tons of pure comedy. The photograph shows a squat, barrel-shaped fighter with a massive radial engine and a cockpit stuck almost embarrassingly far back. Someone has scrawled underneath in grease pencil, Republic P-47 Thunderbolt 2000 HP of flying brick. Laughter erupts. Lieutenant Waldemar Waldy Radner, barely 21 and already with 12 kills, leans over and mimics the plane's silhouette with his hands. It looks like a beer keg with wings. How does it even turn? Oberleutnant Pips Priller wipes his mouth and grins. Gentlemen, the Tommies have their pretty little Spitfires. The Americans now give us this. I claim the first one. I want to see the look on the pilot's face when he realizes his precious Thunderbolt can't climb, can't turn, and can't run. More laughter. Someone starts humming the tune to Du kannst nicht trusain while pretending to waddle like an overweight fighter trying to dogfight. Glasses clink. Another round is ordered. None of them notice the quiet Oberfeldwebel in the corner, a veteran from the Channel front named Gerhard Barkhorn, studying the same photo without smiling. He turns it sideways, measuring the wing loading with his eyes the way a butcher measures meat. Priller catches the look. "What's wrong, Barkhorn? Afraid the flying anvil will fall on your head?" Barkhorn's voice is low, almost lost under the noise. 7 tons, 2,000 horsepower, 8 gun ports in the wings. He taps the photo twice. "That's not a fighter, Pips, that's a weapon." Priller waves him off. "A weapon that can't catch us. By the time it drags itself to 25,000 feet, we'll be having breakfast back here." The mess erupts again. Someone proposes a toast. "To the Thunderbolt, may it thunder all the way to the ground." Outside, the wind shifts. Far to the west, across the blacked-out channel, the first groups of those same flying kegs are already rolling off the assembly lines in Farmingdale, Long Island, their brand new Pratt & Whitney engines being run up for the first time. And in a hangar at RAF Duxford, a young captain from West Virginia named Robert S. Johnson stares at his assigned P-47C, serial number 416181, and runs his hand along 8 gleaming .50 caliber muzzles sticking out of the wing like the teeth of something very angry. Neither side yet understands what is coming, but in a few weeks, the laughter in that mess hall will die in 8 separate throats at once. 28 April 1943, 08:47 hours. 27,000 feet over the English Channel, 20 miles southwest of Latauke. The sky is a cruel, blinding blue. Ice crystals streak past the canopy like thrown diamonds. Captain Robert S. Johnson, call sign Hub to his squadron mates in the 56th Fighter Group, feels the P-47 tremble as he pushes the throttle past war emergency power. The big R-2800 up front howls, a deep, guttural roar that vibrates straight through his spine. The turbo supercharger whines like a siren behind the cockpit. Everything smells of hot oil, cordite, and fierce sweat. Below him, 36 B-17s of the 91st Bomb Group drone eastward, their contrails carving white scars across the morning. The 56th is top cover, 12 Thunderbolts flying racetrack patterns at 29,000 feet, the highest anyone has ever put fighters on escort. Johnson's headset crackles. "Bandits 2 o'clock low, 40+ climbing hard." He snaps his head right. There they are, yellow noses glinting, climbing in perfect swarm formation. Focke-Wulf 190s from JG-2 and JG-26, already at 24,000 and still pulling away from the bombers like sharks smelling blood. Johnson shoves the stick forward. The Thunderbolt drops its nose and accelerates like a safe falling off a roof. 404.50, 500 miles an hour. The airframe shudders, G-suits inflate. The world turns gray at the edges. Inside the German formation, Oberleutnant Egon Mayer, 50 victories, Knight's Cross at the throat, spots the diving Americans and laughs into his mask. "Look, the kegs are coming down to play." He rolls his swarm inverted and dives after the fortresses. The P-47s are still 4,000 feet above and closing fast, but Mayer knows the math. The Thunderbolt is heavy, slow to roll, bleeds energy and turns. By the time they level out, the 190s will already be among the bombers. He is wrong. Johnson doesn't try to turn. He simply keeps the dive, airspeed screaming past 550, the needle kissing the red line. The 8 Browning M2S are already charged. He can feel the weight of 3,400 rounds of .50 cal ready to speak. At 1,200 yards, he centers Mayer's yellow-nosed 190 in the glowing K-14 gun sight. His thumb hovers over the trigger. Mayer never sees him. He is too busy lining up a defenseless B-17. Johnson presses the trigger. For exactly 2.8 seconds, the P-47 becomes a flying buzzsaw. 8 streams of tracer and API spit out at 850 rounds per minute per gun. The noise is deafening even through the canopy. Muzzle flash lights the wings orange. The effect on Mayer's FW-190 is immediate and biblical. Armor-piercing incendiaries tear through the cockpit first, then the engine, then the wing roots. Fuel tanks rupture in a blossom of orange fire. Mayer has time for one startled transmission. Was Zumtu? Before the airplane simply disintegrates. Pieces flutter down like burning confetti. Johnson zooms past the explosion so fast his Thunderbolt compresses through the shockwave, rattling every rivet. He hauls back on the stick, blacking out for a second, then levels at 20,000 feet with 200 mph still on the clock. Behind him, the German formation scatters in panic. No one is laughing now. One of the younger pilots, a 19-year-old unteroffizier on only his 3rd mission, keys his mic with a voice suddenly small. Achtung! The Amis, they shot Egon out of the sky from above like it was nothing. Far away, back at Abbeville, a signals officer rips the flimsy from the teleprinter and runs toward the mess hall. The laughter has already stopped, but the real storm hasn't even begun. 4 July 1943, 09:12 hours, 50 miles west of Paris, 24,000 feet. The sun is a white coin hammered flat against the sky. Below, the Seine glints like a silver ribbon. Today, the 8th Air Force is throwing everything. 18 bomb groups, 252 B-17s, aimed at Le Bourget airfield and aircraft factories near Paris. Escorting them are 3 full P-47 groups, the 4th, 56th, and 78th. 192 Thunderbolts total, the first time the big fighters have the range to reach the French capital. The Luftwaffe has been waiting. Over 200 fighters rise to meet them. JG-2, JG-26, JG-11, even elite units pulled from the Eastern Front. The sky turns into a layered hornet's nest. 109s at 30,000, 190s at 25,000, more 190s coming up from the deck. In the cockpit of P-47C Lucky, Colonel Hub Zemp, commander of the 56th, keys the mic with the calm of a man ordering coffee. All Wolfpack squadrons drop tanks on my mark. Go to military power. Let's go get 'em. 160 silver drop tanks tumble away like seeds. What happens next will be remembered in the Luftwaffe as der Schrecklich Unabhängigkeitstag. The Thunderbolts do not try to dogfight. They do something the Germans have never seen. They dive. 16 Thunderbolts in each group roll over almost simultaneously, noses dropping 45 degrees, throttles firewalled. The big radials howl. The turbo superchargers scream. Speed builds with terrifying speed, 450, 500, 550 mph. The airframes moan, wings buffet, but they hold. The Germans are still climbing toward the bombers when the first wave of P-47s slashes through them at 600 feet per second closure. There is no time to react. Captain Walker Bud Mahurin, 63 victories by war's end, remembers it as shooting fish in a rain barrel. His 8 guns open up at 600 yards on a climbing swarm of FW-190s. The lead 190 simply explodes, wings folding like cheap scissors. The second one loses its entire tail to a 3-second burst. The third and fourth break in opposite directions and collide in their panic, spinning down locked together. Everywhere the same story. The sky fills with fireballs, parachutes, and pieces of aluminum raining like metallic snow. Lieutenant Waldemar Radner, the young pilot who mocked the beer keg back in April, is leading a rod of 109s when the Thunderbolts hit. He sees the diving monsters too late. One moment his wingman is there, the next he is a flaming comet falling toward the French countryside. Radner jerks his 109 into a desperate split S, engine screaming, vision graying. Tracers snap past his canopy so close he smells burnt powder. He looks up through the top of the bubble canopy and sees a P-47 big as a house, 8 guns still flashing, pulling up right over him, impossibly fast, already climbing away with energy to burn. On the radio, German voices overlap in panic. They're everywhere. I can't shake him. Maine got the firepower. In 12 minutes of sustained chaos, the 3 P-47 groups claim 27 confirmed kills. Actual German records will later admit 41 fighters lost, many more damaged. Only 2 Thunderbolts are scratched. Back at Abbeville that night, Joseph Priller sits alone in the empty mess hall, staring at the same reconnaissance photo that once made them laugh. The grease pencil caption, "Flying Brick," has been scratched out. Someone has written beneath it in fresh red ink, "Achtung, dare Donnerkeil." "Beware the Thunderbolt." Priller crumples the photo in his fist. The laughter is gone forever. But the worst day for the Luftwaffe is still 3 weeks away. 26 June 1943, 18 hours, 60 miles southwest of Rouen, 6,000 feet and falling. Captain Robert S. Johnson is alone, bleeding, and out of options. His P-47C half-pint has taken more punishment than any airplane should survive. One 20 cannon shell through the cockpit, shattering the canopy and slicing his scalp. Dozens of 13 and 7.9 hits in the wings, tail, and engine. The hydraulic system is gone. The cockpit a spider web of cracked armor glass. The throttle quadrant jammed at 45 inches of manifold pressure. Oil streaks the windshield black. And still chasing him, relentless as a wolf, is a lone Focke-Wulf 190A5 flown by Oberleutnant Heinz Noke of 5 JG-26. Noke has been on Johnson's tail for 12 solid minutes. He has fired over 800 rounds, every last bullet and shell, and watched everyone either spark off the Thunderbolt's armor or disappear into that massive self-sealing fuel tank that refuses to burn. The American fighter is flying on raw stubbornness now, controls sloppy, engine coughing, yet somehow still refusing to die. Johnson's voice is hoarse over the guard channel. "Any friendly fighters, any station, this is Hubcap Red 1. I'm in a bad way southwest of Rouen. 190 on my tail. Could use a little help here?" Static. Noke lines up again perfectly, calmly, and squeezes the trigger. Click, 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 out of ammunition. For a long moment, the two pilots simply fly side by side, close enough to see each other's faces. Noke raises his right hand in a slow salute, half respect, half disbelief, then banks away toward the fading sun. Johnson is too stunned to return it. He wrestles the crippled Thunderbolt west, coaxing every last revolution from the dying engine. The French coast appears like a miracle, then the white cliffs of England, then the runway at Manston. When the gear finally touches tarmac, the big fighter rolls only 50 yards before the left tire, shot away, collapses. Half-pint slews sideways and stops dead. Ground crews swarm the airplane and stand frozen. The official damage report will read like science fiction. 21 times 20 cannon hits, mostly in the wings and fuselage. 187 times 7.9 machine gun strikes. 120 shell exploded inside the cockpit, inches from Johnson's head engine still running. Though cylinder head temperature pegged at 140 degrees C, over 1,000 individual holes counted, yet the pilot climbs out under his own power. Blood running down his face, legs shaking, and lights a cigarette with trembling fingers. Photographers capture the moment. The pictures will be on Eisenhower's desk within 48 hours. Back in Germany, Heinz Noke lands empty and writes in his diary that night, "I shot a P-47 down today, or rather, I shot it to pieces and it refused to fall. I have never seen anything like it. These Americans have built a flying tank with wings." Word spreads through every Jagdschwader like plague. Pilots who once joked about the 7-ton beer keg now speak in hushed tones about the Donnerkeil that simply will not die. And in every briefing room from Holland to Bordeaux, intelligence officers pin up new photographs, this time of Johnson's shredded Thunderbolt with a single red caption, VORSICHT, P-47 can 20 Mund mg fewer in grossen Mengen Überleben. Caution, P-47 can survive large quantities of 20 mg fire. The psychological shift is complete. German pilots no longer bounce American fighters with casual arrogance. Now they look up first, always up, scanning the sun for the telltale glint of a diving Thunderbolt that can absorb an entire ammunition load and still come back swinging. But the final nail in the coffin is only 1 month away, when the P-47s receive the gift that turns them from feared to feared beyond reason. 12 August 1943, Debden Airfield, Essex. Dawn mist still clings to the hedges. A quiet revolution sits on the hardstands of the 4th and 56th Fighter Groups. Brand new Hamilton standard paddle blade propellers, wide as a man's outstretched arms, and gleaming under wing drop tanks made of pressed paper, each holding 108 gallons of precious 150-octane fuel borrowed from the RAF. No more 45-minute loiter over the channel. No more turning back at the Dutch coast. With these two upgrades, the P-47's combat radius jumps from 175 miles to over 425. Berlin is now theoretically within reach. In the cockpit of his freshly painted P-47 D-10, Colonel Hub Zemp runs a gloved hand along the new prop boss and smiles the way a boxer smiles when handed a pair of brass knuckles. Across the channel, German radar at Lille picks up the first deep penetrations the very next day. 17 August 1943, Regensburg-Schweinfurt mission. The day everything changes forever. 230 B-17s split into two task forces, one bound for the Messerschmitt factories at Regensburg, the other for ball bearing plants at Schweinfurt. For the first time, the bombers will fly all the way across Germany and recover in North Africa. No turning back into the flak. The P-47s promise escort to the German border and back. That is all anyone expects, but the Thunderbolts do not turn back. Led by the 56th and 4th, they push 200 miles inside the Reich, farther than any Allied fighter has ever gone. The new paddle props bite the air like scythes. Water injection and 150-grade fuel push manifold pressure to 72 inches, 500 horsepower more than the Germans ever believed possible. At 32,000 feet over Eupen, Belgium, the sky suddenly fills with German fighters over 300, pulled from every front. Galland himself is airborne, leading JG-26 in person. They climb to meet the bombers and find themselves staring up at 60 Thunderbolts still above them, circling like hawks, waiting. The trap springs. The P-47s roll in from 35,000 feet, engines screaming, new props clawing enormous speed out of the dive. Closure rates hit 700 feet per second. The Germans have seconds to react. They don't. Major Francis Gabreski, future top-scoring P-47 ace, picks a climbing staffel of Bf-109s and fires one 4-second burst. 3 109s fall out of the sky in flames, one after another like beads pulled off a string. Everywhere the same carnage. The new firepower now harmonized to converge at 300 yards, and the sheer kinetic energy of 500 mph dives make the 8.50s into lawnmowers. Wings shear off. Cockpits erupt. Fuel tanks detonate mid-air. In 41 minutes of continuous combat from the Dutch coast to Koblenz, the P-47 groups claim 39 confirmed victories for the loss of 3 Thunderbolts, a kill ratio that staggers OKL. Adolf Galland lands at Lille that evening white-faced. He walks straight into the operations room and slams his gloves on the table. "From today," he says, voice flat, "any pilot who attacks the bombers before the Thunderbolts are shaken off will be court-martialed on the spot. They are no longer escorts. They are the main threat." That night, Reichsmarschall Göring issues the order every German fighter pilot has been dreading. "Ram the Thunderbolts if you have to. Avoid their head-on passes at all costs. Their 8 guns will cut you in half before you can even see the tracer." The psychological surrender is now official. The beer keg joke is dead. In its place stands a 7-ton monster that can out-climb, out-dive, outrun, and outlive anything wearing a Balkan cruise. And by Christmas 1943, there will be over 1,000 of them over Germany every single day. The reign of the Luftwaffe is ending, one 8-gun salvo at a time. But there is one final, poetic moment still to come. One mission where the Thunderbolt will not just win the battle, but break the soul of the Jagdwaffe forever. 14 January 1944. 11:47 hours. 22,000 feet over the Ardennes forest, freezing fog below, blinding sun above. Today, the 8th Air Force is sending 650 heavy bombers, B-17s and B-24s, against aircraft factories in central Germany. Escorting them are 633 fighters, P-51s, P-38s, and 11 full groups of P-47s, nearly 400 Thunderbolts, now fitted with 150-gallon flat drop tanks and 72 inches of war emergency power. The Luftwaffe throws everything left into the sky. Over 500 fighters rise. Single engine, twin engine, even rocket-powered Mi-163s from experimental units. Every Jagdschwader still combat effective is here. JG-1, JG-2, JG-3, JG-11, JG-26, JG-27, JG-54. Many pilots are teenagers on their first mission. Some are instructors pulled from training schools. Ammunition is rationed, fuel is rationed, but the order is simple: stop the bombers at any cost. They never get the chance. The P-47s meet them 120 miles inside Germany, east of Cologne. What follows is not a battle. It is an execution. The Thunderbolts are no longer the lumbering newcomers. They are veterans now, pilots with 200, 300 hours on type. They know every trick the 109s and 190s have. They know the German controllers are blind above 25,000 feet because of Allied jamming. They know the enemy is low on fuel and desperate, so they do what wolves do to a wounded herd. They attack from above in perfect four-ship elements, diving out of the sun at 550 mph, firing, zooming, coming back again and again. Drop tanks are jettisoned in a glittering rain. The sky becomes a three-dimensional slaughterhouse. Captain Robert S. Johnson, now with 21 kills, finds a formation of 20 FW-190s climbing toward the bombers. He leads his flight down in a single, perfect pass. His 8 guns speak once, 2 seconds. When the smoke clears, 4 Focke-Wulfs are gone. The rest scatter like startled pigeons. Major Walker Bud Mahurin shoots down 3 in one pass, then calmly calls out another for his wingman. Gabby Gabreski bags 4 in 8 minutes. The German radio net collapses into chaos. Indians everywhere. I have no ammunition left. They come from above, always from above. By the time the bombers reach the target, the Luftwaffe has lost 61 fighters in air combat, official OKL records. Another 47 are written off in crashes or abandoned because of battle damage. Total, 108 single-engine fighters gone in a single afternoon. American losses, 11 P-47s. The kill ratio is almost 10-1. Back at their bases that night, the surviving German pilots sit in silence. No songs, no stories, no toasts. Joseph Priller, now Jeschwader Commodore of JG-26, stares at the casualty board and finally says what every man in the room is thinking. We are no longer hunting. We are being hunted. In Berlin, Adolf Galland phones Goering and begs, literally begs, for permission to pull the fighter force back to defend the Reich itself. The answer is a scream down the line. You will fight them over the factories or I will have you shot. Galland hangs up, lights a cigarette, and speaks the sentence that ends an era. Then the Jagdwaffe is finished. Across the channel in a smoky pub near Debden, Robert Johnson raises a glass of warm beer with his ground crew. Someone asks what it felt like today. Johnson thinks about the mess hall laughter he never heard but can still imagine, about the yellow-nosed fighters that once ruled the sky, about the 8 Brownings that finally spoke loud enough for everyone to listen. He smiles, tired and quiet. It felt, he says, like thunder.